Okay. So let's just get into the rules. Straightforward. Here we go. Aircraft requirements under Part 107. Your drone must, and these values, these little nuances, they may sound like they're not as important, but they really are. And the test questions will be, they will throw you off because one slight change in the wording could be the difference in missing an answer or not. So a drone must weigh less than 55 pounds, okay? And it must be registered if it weighs more than 0.55 pounds. So where they came up with this 5.5 thing, maybe it was initially meant to be parallel and make it easy to remember the kind of the limit or the bottom and the top kind of limits. To me, it's confusing, but either way, that's how it is. So more than 0.55 pounds, which is the same as 250 grams. Okay, that comes up quite often when it comes to manufacturers because those are registered in metric values. But yeah, according to the FAA test, it's going to be 0.55 pounds, no matter if you intend to use it recreational or commercial. That's an important thing. There is a distinction. Okay, so like I said, you have to get your P107 if you're going to do commercial work. That's the best designation I can give you. However, any drone that is going to be used for commercial or recreation, no matter what it is, as long as it is, if it is more than 0.55 pounds, it must be registered through the FAA on this thing called FAA Drone Zone, which we will describe much more as we go through this. There's a $5 fee. You basically put the serial number and other, what make or model it is, your account number. So every time you go, one of the first things you're going to need to do is create an account with the FAA, even if you haven't done your Part 107 test yet. But basically that becomes your hub for your exam information, your license information, your drone information, your special authorizations. It's all kind of housed in one place, which is quite nice. Anyways, once you register the drone, the FAA will then send you a special registration number, and it's their way of keeping track of your equipment, right? Because this is airspace. And let's be frank, safety is the number one concern for those guys. So that's where they're coming from, okay? Let's see, operating rules. Let's go over and kind of bang out some of the big ones here. Under Part 107, the following general rules apply to all flights. Let's see, you can fly in what's called Class G airspace. That's a completely separate topic, but just kind of correlate in your mind that Class G means open airspace, okay? Open airspace for drones. And that's a good thing. There's especially, well, in urban areas, there's very little Class G airspace, but we have lots of instruction beyond just this section, and the airspace curriculum is more appropriate for discussing that in detail. You must keep your aircraft within visual line of sight. Okay, visual line of sight, meaning you or your visual observer. Okay, somebody that's next to you, that's standing next to you, or somebody that is communicating with you. It could be somebody on a radio or a phone that is, a distance away. Whatever the case may be, there has to be some link between you're flying and a visual of the physical drone itself. Okay, so that's what they're considering visual line of sight. That must be maintained. Now, there are waivers to be exempt from that, but it's quite a process and something else we explain in more detail in a different section. Must fly under 400 feet. Okay, 400 feet is the drone ceiling. All right, 400 feet. Notice I've crossed out fly during the day. That was amended recently. You now can fly at night, given some modifications or considerations for the lighting that's on a drone. Must fly at or below 100 miles per hour. Sounds very fast, and that is obviously. I've never taken a drone, I don't even know, probably faster than 25 miles an hour or so, but I'm not in the drone racing space. For somebody that is, I imagine this is important. Anyways, it's out there, so you got to know it. Must yield to the right of way of manned aircraft. That's extremely important, okay? And on the test, there's going to be frequent questions like that about safety, okay? Safety. And so, you know, essentially what that means is, say there's a low flying airplane, or there's a helicopter, those are the two obvious ones, right? And if they're coming into your space where you're flying your drone, even if you have authorization to be there, they have the right of way. So as drone pilots, our responsibility is to move out of their space, yield to them. In my situations, this is impromptu stuff, and it can happen. In my experience, I've been able to observe, a potential hazard aircraft, and kind of lower my drone, almost even landing it in some circumstances. They say you can go above an aircraft if it's coming at you, very quickly. That's a bit sketchy. I've heard people's stories about it though, okay? And it is actually allowed in an emergency situation, which this is considered. But yeah, again, you go on and on about the what ifs. The point of this bullet is that we must, as drone pilots, we must yield to the right of way of manned aircraft. Okay. Things that you cannot do. All right. Now, you cannot fly in Class B, C, D, or E airspace without ATC, which stands for Air Traffic Control permission. And there are some simple ways to get authorization and navigate through that, which we discuss in this course. And there are some not so simple ways. There are ways to get authorizations though. Okay, so it's none of these are 1000%. Well, I shouldn't say none of them. I haven't read through all of them yet, but I'll just put it this way: most of them you can get a waiver or authorization approval for. Well, you can't fly your drone in a reckless manner. No one's going to give you approval for that, so I just stand it corrected. But yeah, fly beyond an unaided visual line of sight. We already said that. Fly using first-person goggles unless you have a visual observer. So yeah, that's those, cover up your face kind of virtual reality thing. As long as somebody is with you and can point out like something's going on as your observer, those are totally fine. But you're not supposed to do it just by yourself. These are rules. I don't make them up. These are the rules. Fly more than one drone at a time. That doesn't mean that you and another person with you, you're flying one drone, they're flying another drone. That's not what that's saying. It's basically saying that I'm not supposed to be flying two separate drones, just me, okay? That's a no-no. Let's see, you cannot fly in the visibility of less than 3 miles from your control station. That's important. That's going to be an important one. Okay, 3 miles. They want you to have visibility. They want you to have visibility of 3 miles at least out. And so if there's foggy conditions or other cloudy conditions that are inhibiting your abilities to see beyond, see 3 miles away, then you're not supposed to fly. Okay. Fly beyond 400 feet above the ground. ground level unless you are within 400 feet of a structure. So that's an interesting one. There's this kind of gray area there, I guess, in my opinion. But yeah, so say there's a structure, and I went back to this slide because I have a little picture of it here. But we have 400 feet, 400 feet, and then here's a very tall structure. So you are allowed to be within you are allowed to go 400 feet higher than this. I'm not exactly sure what the all of the designations of what makes a structure and what doesn't. I would just say anything that's above the ground that's attached to the ground is a structure. So buildings, towers like this, trees, that kind of stuff, okay? So that gives you a little bit of a cushion, all things considered. You are not allowed to fly faster than 100 miles an hour. We already said that, okay? A couple other amendments recently: fly over anyone who is not directly participating unless they are under a cover or structured vehicle, or fly from a moving vehicle unless you're in a sparsely populated area. Those rules have been slightly amended, okay?